Have you ever noticed that no matter what you do, you keep running into the same problems? Like maybe you want more money, but you never seem to get ahead. Or maybe you want to start a business or launch a YouTube channel, find a healthy relationship, or just create some real change in your life, but something always seems to get in the way. Well, if that's the case, it might not be your circumstances, it might be a limiting belief that's getting in the way. So, in my last video, I talk about identity and how our identity is mostly a collection of beliefs that we've accumulated throughout our lives. And most of those beliefs were formed during childhood and became part of the way we see ourselves and the world around us. So, today I want to talk about how to identify those limiting beliefs and, more importantly, how to change them. So, let's talk about how to find them. So, the easiest way to identify a limiting belief is to pay attention to your excuses. So, what are the reasons you give yourself for not doing the things that you want to do? So, let's say, for instance, you want to go to a party, but you tell yourself, I shouldn't go. I'm not very social. I won't have any fun. Or maybe you want to start a business, but you tell yourself, oh, I can't. I'm just not a business person. Maybe you want to make videos and you tell yourself, oh, I want to, but I'm just not confident on camera. So many excuses contain an identity statement. I'm awkward. I'm shy. I'm bad with money. I'm not disciplined. And so the question is, are these really true? Or is this just simply something you've been telling yourself over and over again, and it's become part of your identity? And so another way to identify a limiting belief is to pay attention to your emotional reactions. Okay? So what thoughts show up when things don't go your way? So let's say that you apply for a job and you don't get it. So what's the first thought that enters your mind? Maybe it's, I knew I wasn't going to get that. I'm not qualified. I'll never be successful. And so it's not the event, but the thought that appears afterwards that reveals a limiting belief. And so a third way to identify a limiting belief is to look at the reoccurring problems in your life. What are the things that keep showing up over and over again? Maybe it's money or relationships. Maybe it's confidence or just feeling stuck. So let's use money as an example. So let's say you want to go on a vacation, but you don't have enough money. So at first glance, the problem appears to be money. But if you dig deeper and ask why, you might find a belief. So why don't I have enough money? Because I don't make enough. Why don't I make enough? Because nobody will pay me more. Why? Because I'm not qualified enough. Because I'm not good enough. So now we've found a belief. So once you identify the limiting belief, now how do you change it? So you can think of beliefs like decisions, okay? So at some point in your life, something happened and you made a decision about what that meant. So maybe you were rejected and you decided, I'm not lovable. Or maybe you struggled making friends and so you decided, I'm awkward. Maybe you grew up around financial stress and you decided, money is hard to make. And over time, you gathered evidence to support that decision. And eventually, that decision became a belief. And that belief eventually became part of your identity. So, if a belief started out as a decision, well, that means that you can change it with a new decision, right? So the first step is to question the limiting belief. So ask yourself, is this actually true? Or is this just a story I've been telling myself? So let's look at the belief of I'm not social. Okay, so let's say you've been telling yourself I'm not social. So instead of automatically assuming that it's true and accepting it, challenge it. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or is it possible that maybe I'm just selective about who I spend my time with? Maybe a more empowering belief is I'm social around the right people, or I enjoy meaningful connections with people I resonate with. See, we're not creating some unrealistic fantasy here. We're choosing a belief that's authentic and believable. And so now that you've decided that you're social around the right people, it's time to start gathering evidence. So look for examples. Think about times that you enjoyed a conversation. Think back to friendships that you've cultivated. Think about times that you felt like yourself around others. See, those moments, they were always there, but you weren't paying attention to them because the limiting beliefs were filtering those out. See, your mind is always looking for evidence to support what you already believe. So, if you believe you're awkward, you will notice every awkward moment. If you believe you're not good with money, well, you'll notice every financial mistake. And if you believe you're not good enough, well, you'll notice every critical comment, but you'll dismiss every compliment. But when you choose a new belief and you start searching for evidence to support that new belief, over time, the evidence strengthens the new belief, and that new belief begins to shape a new identity. So if there is one thing I want you to take from this video, it's this. Your beliefs are not facts. They're not truths. They are decisions. Somewhere in your life, something happened and you made a decision. You drew a conclusion. And over time, with enough evidence, that became a belief, and then that became part of your identity. But if a belief started out as a decision, then you can change it with a new decision. So instead of unconsciously feeding the story of my life sucks, you can consciously choose a new story that supports the person that you want to become. So ask yourself this question. What belief am I treating as a fact? And what new belief am I ready to choose instead? Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated with you, please hit the like button, subscribe, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And as always, I'll see you on the next video.